A lot to discuss in today's update video. Let's get right started with Bitcoin. And obviously over the last few weeks, not much has happened. We can see that Bitcoin has been just borrowing, consolidating over the last few weeks, and very little volatility, to be honest with you guys. And one thing about the volatility to mention is that whenever we have very little volatility, usually we see very big moves coming up. And what I have here is the daily chart on Bitcoin, and on the bottom we have the Bollinger Bands width indicator, which just tells us if they are narrowing, then there's less volatility, right? We can see here at the bottom they are narrowing, and whenever they are narrowing, the volatility is down. And what do these times have in common? Well, here we have, for example, in November 2024, we have low volatility, and just a few days after, we shot up in price very drastically. Same thing here in February 2025. Just a few days later, we went down in price, and we can measure the price move. We actually went down 16% just a few days after. Same thing goes for here in July. We had the Bollinger Band squeezing, which we can see by the indicator, and we went up a few days later. And how much did we go up? Well, we went up like a good 13%. And the same thing happening right now, right? I showed it here that we have very little volatility. Bitcoin's price does not really do much. It's just consolidating. It's not moving up and down much. And usually these mean that a big move is coming very, very soon, which I expect to be happening at the beginning of the year, because usually the beginning of the years, as I mentioned in the last video, we see more volatility coming. And we are right now in the same phase of the market. The volatility is going down. And I think as we go into the new year, as people start trading again after the holidays, we will see that volatility coming back into the market, which is exactly what we like to see. Now, looking at Bitcoin here quickly, we can see that it's basically trading in between. If you go to the daily, we can show it. We're basically trading in between the yearly open price, which is this white line at the top, and these levels at the bottom here around 83,000, 84,000. So we're just ranging in between here. And what we can see here, a good indicator to look at, is the volume profile, okay? And the volume profile is gonna come now on the left side, and we can see it right here actually. And we can see on the volume profile that, let's wait for it to load, here it is. We can see on the volume profile that there is actually very little volume in a certain range, just below our current price. And this is the gap. You can see the further the volume profile goes on the outside, it just shows there's more volume, or more, let's say, more trading activity happening on these price ranges, okay? So for example, where we are right now, we are trading in this volume profile. And why is this bar going out more? Because we've been trading here, we've been consolidating, and as we're consolidating, more volume builds up, more trading builds up, which is usually a good thing, because if we bounce from there, we have previous price points where we've been rejected and supported from, which we can use for our trading. And therefore, previously this level has acted as resistance. You can see on the top line we've been rejected from here and went down. And now the same line is pretty much the same line here is acting as support, right? And that is a good thing. Now, if we break down from here, you can see there's very little volume in this range, which I've just marked, and you can see here there's very little volume. The next area of volume is in this area, and this area here is ranging in between around 70 to 55,000, and you can see we've been ranging there for quite a while actually. So if we do break down, I expect that we could go back and test the top side over here, which is around about 70,000. We could retest the top over here and then go further up. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is the Bitcoin cycles. And you can see here the red line, this is the current cycle, okay? The green line is the last cycle. Then we have the orange line, which is the second cycle, and the blue line is the very first Bitcoin cycle. And what this chart shows us is just an overlay of the price movement, so we can compare how was Bitcoin acting in each cycle, okay? And right now we are 585 days from the all-time high from the previous one, and usually what we can see where do they all bottom out, right? And we can see they bottom out around about this area here. You can see the blue, the first cycle has reached the bottom around here. Also the second cycle, the third, so the last cycle as well. And this point is around about 700 days after the halving. So we are currently 585 days from there. And this just means, so in 120 days approximately, I think it can, again, be a good buying opportunity, just to show you guys where we are in the market compared to the last cycles. And finally, one thing I wanted to talk about is just the growth in stable coins. So what this chart shows us is all of the different stable coins by chains, right? So we have obviously different stable coins like USDC, USDT, and a few other smaller coins, but we can also look at the blockchains. So the major chain in which USDC is traded on is the Ethereum chain. And then we have seen growth in other chains like the Tron chain, which is marked in red here, and also recently the Base chain, which is marked in black. And basically we can see a steady growth in stable coins. And what this basically tells us is that new money comes to the market. As new stable coins like USDT are coming into the market, are being minted, think of it as a dollar. And as the government, as the central bank prints more dollars, we have a price rise, right? We have inflation, we have prices going up. And the same thing can be thought of here in terms of stable coins. As more of them come in the market, we usually see prices going up. And it clearly follows a trend also. So from the bull and bear cycles, right? We had the current bull market, we've seen a very strong increase in the number of stable coins in the market. Here we had the last peak in 2022, a decline in stable coins, and then again a very strong increase in stable coins, which just means that the market, the crypto space in general, is growing, which is very good in general for us to know. As we go now into a bear market, we might see a small decline. We can already see here the growth has slowed down a bit, but in general, I'll come back to this chart a few more times. I think it's very good to see that the industry is growing. And with that being said, hope you guys liked the video. See you guys next time. Bye.